They share a lot of DNA, but they were a bit more different than I was expecting. For the last 5 years, LG's V series phones have represented the top-tier diesel truck work options from LG. While the look has changed dramatically since the beginning of the line, what hasn't changed is the positioning of top-tier specs against the competition. The V60, however, represents a slight shift in that philosophy, and the V50 is the last generation of that style LG. It would seem LG is done playing the spec sheet game just for vanity bullet points, keeping up with the Joneses. It's still expensive, but LG is more focused on delivering a unique experience. Much belly aching has been voiced over the displays used on the V60. The V50 showed off a very pretty Quad HD OLED. The V60 moves us over to 2 larger 1080p displays. A number of competitors are adopting higher refresh rate displays, the V60 keeping 60 Hz over both screens. Well, the simple fact of the matter is, there is no right answer. Higher resolution might not be noticed during daily driver activities. Faster frame rates come with higher battery draw. As a quick tangent, I asked you all to listen out for who was praising and criticizing higher refresh rates as a feature. Now remember, higher battery draw was a criticism on the OnePlus 7 Pro and a deal breaker on the Pixel 4 XL. So how many folks started changing their tune about poorer battery life when Samsung started offering higher refresh rate modes? But I digress. As a company, LG has a tiny chance of making any impression in a carrier store. Now, that little dusty corner of a shop most retail associates will try to skip over to show a consumer a more popular option first. At a distance, someone isn't going to notice a tighter pixel pitch. Now, not handling the phone, a faster refresh rate won't be impressive, but you can spot a V60 from across the store and see that something is a little different. So enough with the gadget nerd clutching of pearls and twisting of undies. If they wanted to, LG's display team could definitely produce matched Quad HD 120Hz panels. And then the V60 would start at $2,000 and all of the tech nerds would be complaining and wailing about how that's too expensive for an LG. If LG pivots to hit lower price points, that's gonna come with a few compromises. Let's not forget that LG tried that trick with the G8 and the V50, both of which were brutally competitive against comparable Samsung and Apple premium devices. And both of those phones got panned for pretty silly reasons. But I digress again. Back to the phones. From V50 to V60, the dual screen trick is wonderfully improved. I wish the case on the V60 didn't require a headphone adapter for my studio cans, but the hinges are way more useful, and the software integration supporting controllers and keyboards is easier and more fluid to use. The hardware is nicer, and the software is better. And in the USA, we actually got a V45, not a true V50, so we couldn't even play with the dual screen option. Oh really, its official model number is a V450, while the rest of the world got a V500. And one last point on displays, and I haven't had a chance to test it yet, but the V60 should support a pressure-sensitive stylus. I've got another Wacom on order where the V60 might become the best counterpoint yet to Samsung's Note. Moving on, we can always count on audio tech that these are on point. V-series phones are pretty much your best bet for premium audio. The V60 improves on the speakers from the V50, and I'll have a full audio deep dive on the V60 if you want to hear those showdowns and see all the charts and graphs for headphone performance over on patreon.com/SomeGadgetGuy. But long story short, the V50 was pretty good for speaker performance and untouchable for headphone performance. LG found a way to improve the speaker performance and even manages a few tweaks to the headphone performance, making this the top tier option. And of course, battery life is an easy win for the V60, and that shouldn't be a surprise to anyone, right? I haven't finished my battery benchmarking, but even on my first couple days of use, just a bigger battery is gonna help. And we should always expect a new processor to outperform an older processor. Another unsurprising improvement for the V60, but Qualcomm is delivering a nice upgrade here. Solid improvements across the board for some heavy lifting. Around a 25% improvement to video rendering, a 20% improvement to file compression performance, and graphics performance which pegs gaming at 60 frames per second on all but the most demanding and poorly optimized Android titles. Now, the main concern for V-series fans was rightfully the number of cameras. The V40 and the V50 are 5-camera phones, dual selfie and triple rear camera, and the V60 only has the one selfie shooter, and the rear is a dual camera module with a time of flight sensor. Now, this is rightfully a tough pick. The selfie shooters, for example. I think the V60 offers up the higher quality option, but the V50 is a bit more flexible. And ditto the rear shooters. LG's new main sensor is larger and better at soaking up light. That surface area produces a more pleasant depth of field. Everything I've seen in my early testing, the V60 is the more photographic option. As for the loss of the telephoto sensor, I'll show some samples here. I'm not gonna label them. You tell me which you prefer, and I'll follow up with a comment later telling folks which phone was which. And even though I know the V60 doesn't have a higher refresh rate display, the viewfinder for the camera is buttery smooth, like hyper unnatural liquid smooth. The V50 was no slouch for a camera viewfinder. The V60 is just faster. So we should probably wrap this up. Where's that leave us between the LG V50 and the LG V60? A 1-year upgrade is increasingly one of the most difficult recommendations for any company to hit. Can you really improve a pocket computer enough in 1 year to get folks to flip their phones? Complicating this discussion, the target for each phone is a little different this go around. The V50 is still an absolute monster of a phone, built to check off the top tier specs of its generation. At $999 in 2019, this was a brutal competitor for a device like the 64GB smaller iPhone 11 Pro. The V60, though, trades a handful of those big number specs to launch at a retail price $200 cheaper than the V50 launched at without the second screen. By comparison, shopping at a carrier store, the V60 is still $150 cheaper than the Note 10, which has the same resolution and refresh rate on a smaller screen, lacks a headphone jack or memory card expansion, and has a smaller main camera sensor, but comes with the S Pen. LG is fighting a different kind of fight this year. Ultimately, no. I wouldn't say the V60 is worth the 1-year upgrade if you have a phone like the V50. But I also wouldn't say the V60 is a direct one-to-one replacement for last year's V phone. This phone feels a bit more like a soft reboot for LG. Say hello to the new V series. It's still a tank of a gadget, but it won't hurt your wallet quite as much. As always, thanks so much for watching, for sharing these videos, and subscribing to this channel. And we're gonna have plenty to talk about. This is gonna be a weird year for consumer tech, so we wanna make sure every gadget is gonna get a fair shake. So if you'd like to help support the production of broader conversations and comparisons, there are some links below, or you might consider joining the list of names currently scrolling by on your screen. That's a growing community of fun, like-minded tech pals, a huge resource for me as I'm planning future videos and reviews and comparisons. They're just super cool people, so I hope you'll check them out. Now, you know where you can find me around the rest of the internet, at SomeGadgetGuy on the Twitters and the Twitch, and the Facebooks and the Instagrams, and I will catch you all on the next comparison.